Well, good evening and welcome to Friday Night Blitz on Live Stream STL. We are live from Festus High School in Festus, Missouri, home to the Festus Tigers. They are hosting the DeSmet Spartans tonight in Friday Night Blitz on Live Stream STL. Ray Halbrook, Scott Latta, 6-0 against 5-1. An amazing night tonight here for both teams.
Obviously, DeSmet is one of the premier teams in the state, if not the best team in the state right now. I know they dropped a game to CBC earlier, but you see in those rivalries, they kind of go back and forth, and I'm sure they'll see each other again in districts. And, watching it on tapes, pretty evenly matched games. So, for us, it's a good opportunity to see exactly where we stand in the grand scheme of things. And every year at this level as a Class 4 team, the size and strength and speed of your team is going to ebb and flow a little bit. It's going to be a lot different than a large private school who typically is going to stay pretty consistent in their talent level. And so for us, we wanted to go out and schedule an opponent like this because we knew we'd have some pretty physically capable kids, and we wanted to go right up to the top of the food chain and see where we stand and help hopefully prepare ourselves for what we'll see in districts and playoffs.
Duff gets it. McCaster finds a seam and into the end zone for a 1-yard touchdown. Smith drop back, 4-man rush. He's going to air it out. He's got a man deep. Airs it out. Number 9, he's going to take it to the house. And just like that, a 70-yard touchdown to Trey Lacey. And drop back Duff, pressured, gets rid of it, and he finds number 10. He's down the sidelines. It's a foot race, and he's going to dive. Touchdown! And just like that, they answer. Wow.
Well, we had no idea that the second half here was going to end up being a shootout.
And a loss to CBC, 34 points. And breaks through, and here we go again. Number 3, all the way to the house. Are you kidding me? Camden Yates. Same formation 3 times in a row, but they seem to mix it up. Handoff, McCaster breaks through the middle, and he's going to take it all the way. That's a 51-yard touchdown. I'm calling it now. 5-2, touchdown. McCaster. He put it into high gear, and he never looked back until he got to the 5. 3, 2, ooh, they just do get it off. Duff surveys the field, throws it. He's got a receiver. Russo, did he keep it in? Waiting for the signal. Touchdown is the signal. Wow. 13-yard touchdown to Russo. 10 minutes, 8 seconds. Duff hands to McCaster. McCaster just slashes his way through the end zone. Easy as can be. 2 of their losses last year, 2 of the 4 came to Hillsborough. So, they are definitely, building on some things. Scott breaks through, and he's going to take it all the way to the house. Ahead of steam and touchdown. Just like that. A 29-yard scamper for Emmanuel Scott. And the snap. And they allow that false start to go by the board so they can have that final play run off the time. And that is your ball game.
Well, good Monday to you. Ray Halbrook here from Live Stream STL Media. Hope everybody's having a great Monday. Welcome to Upon Further Review, where we recap last week's Friday night games for football. We will crown a player of the week. There might be 2 this week. We'll see. And then we will do some honorable mentions. We'll recap our next week's. Actually, we'll preview next week's schedule and maybe some bold predictions as well. Without further ado, I'll bring in our panel here. Matthew Bates in the middle there. Matthew, how are you?
Doing well. I know people were clamoring to see me try to get into the Black Cat jersey, and it fits just like it did back in the day.
Sporting the Black Cats. I love it. And I wonder why. We'll just have to figure that one out as we come through.
We'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, Mr. Jeff, right. How are you, sir?
Jeffrey White.
I'm doing great. I'm I'm really glad that to see you representing the team that does the RTB. So that's
That's right.
fantastic.
There you go. Well, it's been a fun week of football and some surprise games by halftime. I'll just admit to some of the scores that we heard at halftime, but then some of them turned around, some of them stayed the same, some of them went a different way. But this is our week 7 results as we speak right here, and we will go right on down the list here. DeSmet 42, Festus 13, Jefferson 20, Grandview 12, Eureka 30, Lafayette 15, Hillsboro 35, DeSoto 17, North County beats Windsor 14-12, Herculaneum wins over Bayless 13-9, St. Vincent wins over Cuba 49-16. Perryville takes care of Alton Marquette there 49-14. Miller Career drops to St. Pius X 23-18. Lindbergh 31, Fox 13. Northwest 35, Hazelwood West 14. Crystal City 22, Duchesne 7. Melville 27. They drop to Oakville 35-27. And Seckman 28, Parkway South 7. Rounding things out here, Summit beats Ladue 38-35. And we are going to jump right straight in here to the DeSmet Festus game, and I'm going to give it over to Matthew.
Yeah, this was just really short and sweet. You know, Festus came in 6-0, faced a tough DeSmet team. First loss for the Tigers, but hey, you know, like that big non-conference game. You know, this wasn't a cream puff game where they lined up like an 0-6 team coming in to face them. I mean, this was a tough DeSmet team. And, that they racked up 578 yards on this Festus team that, whether you're class 6, whether you're class 2, I didn't see many teams that would have been able to rack up yards against this Festus outfit like they were able to. I mean, this Hatcher kid, only 4 receptions for 153 yards, only scored 1 TD though out of all that. 7 sacks on defense. Again, another thing where, you know, on paper, you know, the way they rotate quarterbacks in and out and just their overall design and schematic, that 7 sacks on, you know, your combination of either Essien Smith, Parker Perry. I mean, you know what? Bright spot, Mason Shermer had another, 10 tackle game to stick his nose in the top 5 slot for the area leader in tackles. Mr. Jeff?
Well, you know, it's in watching that game, obviously Festus was able to hang with them at least through the half, at least for the first few minutes of the third quarter. And I think that's to be admired and respected when you're facing one of the perennial elite teams in our entire region. And I think that was a good test for the Tigers as long as they were able to get out without getting too dinged up. I think it gives them a taste of what they have to do, even in Class 4, to crank it up another notch as they go through districts and hopefully for Festus getting into the state playoff brackets. And I think for that reason, I think there are a lot of positives for Festus to take away from this. They got a chance to see what it was like to play with the really big boys, and they were able to hang with them for a while. So I think there's some good takeaways there for the Tigers.
Yeah, definitely some big bonus points. I think Misha will take a look at that, and I think that's why they kind of put DeSmet on the schedule for, you know, some of these bonus points and hopefully get that higher seed in their district and, put yourself in a situation where you might be able to do some damage there in your district. So I get that. I completely understand Coach O'Fadale's thinking on that whole thing. And you hope that, they look at this as a learning, just the learning curve here. You know, we won't see anybody this tough probably the rest of the season. This team in DeSmet, they beat CBC this year, so that's a big feather in their cap there. So it just kind of puts you in perspective of what you were up against. But I think it'll pay dividends at the end of the year here, I believe. So
Good evening, everyone, and welcome into Grandview High School, where the Eagles are going to be taking on the Jefferson Blue Jays here on homecoming night. And for the first time in 5 weeks, the Grandview Eagles have a home game. Welcome to tonight's game. I am Drake Beekman, the color commentator / producer for tonight. Matt Bates on the call with us. Matt, bring us in here. Should be a fun one.
We got homecoming night at Husky Stadium and uncharted territory as the Grandview Eagles are on a career 12-game losing streak to the Jefferson Blue Jays. And basically the one word I could use for Jefferson tonight is decimated. They've got injuries on both sides of the ball. A huge Quad City Conference game tonight. A lot of playoff and district implications on the line tonight.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, in my mind, Jefferson's always solid, right? They're a good football team, well coached, and they do a lot of really good things. And so for us, our mindset has been kind of the last few weeks really is that we just need to start playing better football, just collectively, offense and defense, and just doing what we've been practicing, doing what we're trying to do by, whether it be just simple execution or, just knowing your job or whatever. And so for us, I wouldn't say we have some special game plan going through the rest of the season or anything like that. It's just more of we feel like we need to just do what we do just better, right, and more consistent. And so if we want to take care of business on Friday, it's going to be about that, how well we execute, how well we play a full game. Because again, Jefferson's good, they're solid. It's a team I don't know that Grandview's ever beaten. Again, if they had, it would have been a long time ago, way before I was ever here. And so again, you got to do all the right things if you want to beat good teams, and that's kind of my opinion of that. And we play a lot of good teams, and so that's the trick is you have to play complete football if you want to do that. And so we need to see that on Friday.
7th in the area, tied for 7th in the area in total TDs with 12. And they're on the move right now. Here's that jet sweep again. Nope, that's going to be Frisk calling his own number. He's going to break in. He's going to bust the plane, give him 6 right off the bat. 11-yard TD run by Frisk behind Martin, but 2 up top. They're going to give the ball to the big man, Walker. He breaks through. He's going to power through. Give him 6.
I'd say that's a pretty good way to redeem yourself after the penalty.
So that'll be Cam Brooks nearest to us. 2 up top, Kime at top of the package. Martin's going to keep his own number. He breaks out. He's going to break into the end zone. Give him 6. Grandview's going to take the lead on a 6-yard TD run by Martin.
Right. The big thing, the best part of the night for me personally, I'm just a huge fan of it, is letting the big boys touch the ball. So I can't remember his name, I apologize, but the running back that's getting a few touches for Grandview for
Isaac
the Eagles. Walker.
Yeah.
He's been able to run the football. He's been able to get some pretty good gains too. Nothing super pretty, but whenever they call his name, he gets you exactly what you ask of him, and that's a first down and then a few more. For Jefferson, mixing it in the run and the pass as well, they've been able to, especially on that first drive, they just walked down the field, and at least up here in my gut, thought that this was going to be a long night for Grandview after that first drive. But after that, it's been much more even. The defenses have been able to hold strong too. Some good punts, some good kickoffs, some just good all-around play from both teams.
That'll be Crater now behind Frisk. Frisk is going to roll out to his right. He goes into the end zone, has his man all alone. Give him 6. So that is Frisk to Weiss.
1-7 as well, and Herculaneum scored to be trailing only by 3.
Here's Frisk. He's looking to air it out. He's going long. Has a man deep. That's Weiss. He's at the 10. He's at the 5. Give him 6. 60-yard TD pass. They'll line up in victory formation, and that is what happens tonight.
Let's move on to our next game here real quick, and that will be the Jefferson Grandview game. Jefferson wins 20-12 over Grandview, and Matthew, you were actually out at that game, so we're going to turn it over to you.
Well, on paper, this was a huge quad county conference game where, if Jefferson were to stub their toe against Grandview, you were looking at two teams that would have been dead even in their respective conference. But what it turned out to be was just a big old sloppy Joe that Jefferson, I think as we had talked even in the post-game show, this was just one of these games where you were just glad you got the W because you don't get, beauty points. You get the W, you move on with life. But when, both teams, about 300 total yards apiece, but it was a game of penalties, turnovers, short fields. Eagles, they were up 12-6 at half. And basically they come back out where, again, I say halftime's a thing because they just found every way not to connect or sustain drives in that second half. And, Wyatt Kime, another 14 tackle game. He's now the area leader with 95. And Blake Brown stuck his nose in there for 13, total tackles. So, there is something to take away from it. I mean, Cooper Frisk had a modest day, and the stats, outside of the one long TD pass to Weiss, I mean, that was not only the dagger in the heart, but that was pretty much his day at the office on that one long TD pass. So kudos to Jefferson. That they live to fight another day, Jeff.
Well, yeah, and Matt, when you're a small school, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but it is a fact when you've got 5 starters out, and not to mention your starting tailback for the beginning of the season who's out for the regular season, which would make 6. A small school just doesn't have the depth to be able to step up and and fill those slots with the same caliber type of player that you would see in a larger school. Having said that, though, that doesn't excuse the penalties, the snaps, the bad snaps, the just the mental errors, mental mistakes that you saw from both teams. And it was just that game to me came down to that one play that you just mentioned, the Frisk to Weiss pass. Jefferson simply, to me, made one more good play than Grandview did in that game, and that was the difference.
Yeah, the penalty by Reinhardt, that was another one that that may not have been the dagger in the heart, but he definitely put something in the jugular on that one. But again, it was a thing where if you're on the Grandview side of the ball, I mean the small school thing is a real thing, but this was the chance for Grandview, knowing all that ahead of time, that they should have taken every opportunity to, at the end of the day, that this was their day to beat Jefferson, and they left all the points and the win out there off the table. So I mean, it was a great job. I mean, hey, Grandview hung in there, but again, when you faced a decimated Jefferson team, I think the impetus should have been more on attacking that and trying to take care of business on the Eagles side.
Well, good evening and welcome to Friday Night Blitz here on Livestream STL. We are at Lafayette High School in Wildwood, Missouri, where the Lafayette Lancers will be taking on the Eureka Wildcats. Looking forward to a good one as we bring it to the booth here. It's Brian Kaplinger alongside Todd Schumacher and Josh Wicks. I got it right, fellas, so we're good on that one.
Good start.
It's going to be a great game. I mean, you talk about two teams coming in 6-0. Both of them have solid offenses and I would say elite defenses. So, Todd, what are you looking forward to most in tonight's game?
Well, we were talking about before the game, both defenses very stout, about 6 points per game. And Eureka, we've seen as far as being able to shut down an offensive attack, not only against Kirkwood, but also against Rockwood Summit last week. Can they neutralize this Lafayette attack that is one of the best in the area?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good Lafayette football team, well coached. And, you look at the history of our games and our matchups, no matter who's good and who's bad or whatever either side is, it's always a tight football game with a lot of energy, great environment. And, especially this season, both of us rolling in undefeated in the way our seasons are going. Just, going to be one heck of a football environment, and excited for our kids to get out there and go to work and see what they're made of. And these are the fun ones. These are the ones you work all season for, to be in a conference game and in a situation like that against a district opponent, and just excited for our kids.
In 71, Connor Flynn. This one's going to be taking a shot deep, and it's going to be intercepted in the end zone. And he looked to bring it out, decided to go back in. We're going to see if he stepped out. Yeah, if he crossed the goal line and then went back in, it will be a safety. Holberman looking to keep this one. He's got his receiver wide open, and that is number 40. They snuck out Jack McMillan for the Wildcats, and Hobelman with the touchdown pass. And Kodak behind Hobelman. Handed off, going up the middle, breaks a tackle, makes man miss. He's in a foot race, 5 touchdown. Trevor Kodak.
Trevor Kodak runs it all in for a Wildcat touchdown.
So making a couple miss and then just outrunning one to the end zone. And Eureka strikes again as they extend their lead now. 15-0 on the board with the APB Storage extra point. Hand off to Kodak again. He is met at about the 1. Pushes forward, falls forward for the touchdown. So in for the second time is Kodak in the first half, pressing the lead now 22-0. I mean, Eureka's made a statement so far in the first half. What have you seen? And then why don't you take us through kind of the scoring recap?
Yeah, I mean, it has been not just on the offensive side. When you talk about Trevor Kodak, he just continues to move his way down the field. He had some big pickups, 51-yard that set up the last touchdown, but also on the other aspects of the game, as far as defensive side, they just aren't allowing Jack Beal really the space and the time to find his go-to receiver in Robbie Preckle. And then also when he's able to get to his other receivers, just little bites, and hasn't been able to get that big gain to kind of open it up and give the Lancers some momentum.
Don't worry about keying on one. So Beal looking to get a shot. This time he's going to take an end zone shot for Preckle. There's going to be a flag thrown. Did he catch it? Yes. The official says touchdown for Robbie Preckle. Nice throw, good little bit of trick formation there as they lined everybody tight. About 2nd and 20 is the mark. Preckle in motion, Beal back to throw again, gonna scramble, being chased by McCullum. He launches one deep down the field, looking for Michek.
What a catch.
And he catches it in the end zone. A little bit of hand fighting between them, but Michek able to haul that one in, and the Lancers are in for their second touchdown here. Ashby gonna go in motion there. Kodak back in, he gets it to the edge, and he's gonna walk into the end zone. Huge statement touchdown by the Wildcats here, as they're going to extend the lead 29-15. So our final score tonight will be the Eureka Wildcats over the Lafayette Lancers, 30-15.
Let's take a look at our next game here. Eureka and Lafayette. Eureka wins 30-15 in a pretty tight game to start, but then the Eureka, just the Eureka dominance beginning to take effect there. And we'll start with Jeff here on this one.
Boy, two things stand out for me in this game. Well, actually, 3 things. Pardon me. First off, games can turn on a single play or a single 2 or 3 plays. The momentum shifts back and forth. You have an opening drive. Eureka's going down the field. They're matriculating down. They're grinding down. You've got Trevor Kodak handling the ball. Not a whole lot of passes coming out of this game by Casey Hobelman. They get down. Hobelman throws an interception in the end zone. The Lafayette defender grabs it, starts to run out, stops himself, realizes He's at the goal line, and he tries to keep his balance to stay in and get a touchback out of that. But I'm yelling at the TV because you could clearly see from our excellent camera angle in that game, his toes are over the line. A safety occurs, and right after that safety, and Lafayette has to kick back to Eureka, and this is early in the game, the first opening drive of the game. Boy, the momentum just shifted so bad right there against Lafayette that they were playing catch up the rest of the game. That's the first off. And Eureka is a horrible team to try to play catch up against because they've got they've got this 24 grit sandpaper Trevor Kodak that is just going to be abrasive and just grind you down throughout the game. And he did it again this week. And they can control the ball. Hobelman, who was injured at one point, they brought in his backup. Doesn't matter. You hand the ball to Kodak. He does his thing. Lafayette can't get the ball back. I will say this much. For Lafayette, the second touchdown they scored, and, I don't know if we pull that out as a highlight or anything, but Mysek, the receiver, made an incredible, probably the best catch I've seen of the season to score their second touchdown on a long down and out there. And I just wanted to mention that because that was highlight worthy in any stretch, probably the best catch I've seen all year. But that's my synopsis of that game, fellas. Matt, what were you thinking when you saw reviewed the tape?
Exactly the same thing. That I really thought they were going to blow that dead when he intercepted it in the end zone, because as you see with punts and kickoffs as well too, I mean, as long as you catch the ball in the end zone, the refs are quick to blow the whistle, because apparently that's a player safety thing, I suppose. But yeah, I saw the same thing when he caught it in the end zone. I've been waiting for him to blow the whistle. He takes a full step out of the end zone. Then all of a sudden he goes back in, takes a knee, and I'm looking at the camera and I'm like, yeah, that's a safety. And all of a sudden the refs get together, call it, they punt back to Eureka. And that's just one of those things where, all that momentum that Lafayette would have had at home with that pick in the end zone. And now you're down to, you got to punt or, kick back off to Eureka. And you could just see there was this just tide of momentum that rolled right out of the Lafayette faithful. And Eureka goes down, puts the points up. They go up 23-0 at half. And like you said, Jeff, when you can't spot a Eureka team 23 points and then try to figure out how to chew away at that. Because, I mean, when Kodak finishes with, 236 and 2 TDs on the night, I mean, now has, he's like 22 yards short of 1,000 on the season. I mean, that is some tough ground and pound to stop. And with 2-5 McClure and 2-5 Pattonville on the horizon, should be no reason why Lafayette, should not go undefeated this season.
I think you're meeting Eureka, not Lafayette, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Kind of figured that.
Them too.
Gotcha. So, yeah, I agree with you on that as well. I mean, absolutely ditto on everything you both have said here. Eureka right now is becoming the juggernaut and the team that you don't want on your schedule right now. So we totally get that. Let's move on down here to some other games here. I know we'll probably talk about this particular game, the Hillsboro-DeSoto game, and I'm going to throw this over to Matt right away.
Yeah, Hillsboro just tough season for them, and with the win they go to 4-3. DeSoto, I tell you right now, they gave Hillsboro everything and then some. Dragons, just before halftime they'd gone up 17-14, and at half it was still a 21-17 ball game in favor of Hillsboro. But as I've said, halftime's just one of those things that, Chazelle filling in for PB, had a decent day, rushed for 102 yards, threw a TD, ran a TD. But this first half of this game, if you just isolated that and halftime would not have come and played right through, you were watching a DeSoto team that was matching a Hillsboro team, not only point for point, but they were getting Hillsboro to punt. They were forcing 3 and outs. And, Missy has 100 yards passing. Been a long time, I think, since you've had a DeSoto QB throw for 100 yards. But, I mean, they had they had a 3rd and 10 at their own 7, and then Missy hits Jackson Turnbow for a 50-yard pass. On the same drive, they've got a 4th and 9 at Hillsboro's 21. Missy hits Escobar, and then this Brenton Drummond does what Brenton Drummond does. He's now in the top 50 in total yards. He had 2 rushing TDs. So they go for the extra point. Well, Eli Tebow apparently is now the long snapper on extra points and field goals. They run out, and the next kickoff, Tebow bangs an onside kick where their kicker, Josh Golightly, he kind of goes over the top of the ball. Tebow comes behind him and just does an angle onside kick. It's the second time I've seen that from them. They recover it, and they promptly run like a jet sweep that, Drummond runs 53 yards for, and then another pass to Turnbow that I had him at about 90 yards on receiving, not the 62, but either way, you looked at up and down what DeSoto was able to do to Hillsboro, but then halftime came, and that just seemed to kill all the momentum, and Hillsboro just kept finding ways to put the ball in the end zone, and DeSoto had no response. But I got to tell you that first half, Jeff, that was like Ali Frazier kind of punching match right there in the boxing circle. I'll let you comment farther on that.
Well, 2 things come to mind. First of all, Matt, when you are in a rebuilding program and you're trying to bring fans back and get behind your program and you get the whole town behind your program, all fans want to see in any level of sport, they want to see a good effort throughout the game from their team, their local team, and they want to see gradual progression and increase in football IQ, et cetera, et cetera. And we're seeing that from the DeSoto Dragons. They went, obviously Hillsboro, without their starting quarterback, still very formidable opponent. And for DeSoto to do what they did, they have to take away a lot of positives from that game. And when we talked to Coach Schmidt on the post-game show, I think he was very pleased with the effort from his team. Second thing I brought up, when you talked about Eli Tebow, it made me realize that each team in our area is blessed with a player who's sort of a Swiss Army knife, who does a lot of different things, whether it's offense, defense, special teams. You think of an Eli Tebow, you think of a Landon Weiss at Jefferson, maybe a Mason Shermer at Festus, a Ringy at Eureka. All of these guys wearing a whole lot of multiple helmets, we'll say, for their teams. And there's probably a guy at each team that we could give that award to when you think about it. So maybe that's a list I'll put together here for a future show.
Don't forget about Isaac Walker out of Grandview, too.
That's right.
Perfect example.
There you go. Got it.
Let's big man.
Yeah. What other games do we want to look at? Do we want to talk about Windsor North County?
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I was just going to say, the difference in that game was Lee Freeman and his decision, to go for the 2-point conversions, which I love. Instead of tying the game up, he wanted to make a statement with his young troops, fell short. The only thing I wanted to say about that, Matt, and I'll send it over to you, is the Windsor program now with Lee Freeman in his first year is about a year or two behind where Rush Schmidt is with DeSoto in trying to rebuild that program. So, maybe the expectations aren't as high right now, but they're on the right track. So,
I totally agree, Jeff. And, but again, not having a kicking game, just to not even be able to, just try to put one through the pipes where you're consistently having to go for 2 and you're getting stuffed at, like when the 2-point conversion's coming and by and large who's going to be getting the ball or lack thereof, hey, kudos to them though. I mean, they lose by 2 to a tough North County team. Give them credit. Logan Wilson, again, talk about him week in, week out, 20 rushes. You only see the 71 yards, had a receiving TD, but 10 tackles on defense. And his 770 in rushing now puts him 22nd. So he's in the top 25 of rushing. And this is from a Windsor team that, is, week in, week out, again, like you said, where they're at in their program, trying to keep their head above water and, but a 2-point conversion here or there, not only do they, either tie, but they could go up on North County. So it is something to build off of, and we'll just see, how they continue to chug and plug along the rest of the way.
I got 2 words on that whole game right there. Soccer player. Find yourself a soccer player. Find yourself a soccer player that can kick it through the uprights. All I can say on that one. Moving on here to, it's time to talk about the Bayless Herculaneum game. And, we both, I'll throw it over here to us here real quick. Matt and I both were pretty giddy about the game, but I had to pull out the hat for Coach Boss there and whatnot. And you got the jersey today. I got the jersey behind me over here, so on this side. But anyway, kudos to Coach Boss for not giving up there. I know he's had such a uphill battle this season with injuries and just being able to find ways to get over that hump and play a full 48 minutes, and it looks like that they were able to kind of pull that off this week. And what do you think there, Matt?
Normally, week in and week out, we've been talking about how impressive the losses are for Herculaneum. Great first win on the new turf. The boys finally got a chance to ring the bell. You look at the 150 team rushing. Braden Mattingly had 140 of that. Also gets 9 solo tackles on the night. But I think to say the win is impressive, I think would be an understatement, because holding this Bayless team to 9 points. Marvin Jones coming into the game alone had 930 plus rushing yards, and this Bolton kid that they have passing, they shut the door on them and, limited the possessions for Bayless. So that's why you see a lot of the tackling numbers a little escalated for Herky. When you're able to do that against this Bayless team who seems to find a way to sneak wins out against opponents, kind of like catching them with their pants down, for Herky to throw up a win over this Bayless team, I did not see that coming. And to be honest with you now, to go 1-6, I am sure the mood, the vibe in the locker room, Jeff, has got to be brightened up. And that would be, again, starting with the coaches on down, from Boss on down now, to at least finally put a notch, in the barrel. And, how many more can we get the rest of the way?
Right. I think that for me, that what's really stood out in that game was some really great defensive play, like you said, to limit Marvin Jones, to limit Bolin at quarterback. Also, Luke Bryce didn't have a whole lot of yards, but he had a couple of key receptions in that game that were very important for Herculaneum. So I just wanted to mention that out there too. But I'm sure it was a very happy weekend over here, not too far, just a stone's throw away from where I'm at it here over at Herculaneum High School.
There you go. There you go. Let's talk about some of these other games here. Matt, pick a game for us here.
Well, I'll talk about, I'll touch on one, which was the Northwest Hazelwood West game. Great job by Cohen Stark in that game. The Perryville Alton Marquette game, the 49-14, Marquette had not scored more than 7 points in a ball game. They had only had 21 points coming in. And I got to tell you right now, this was a Perryville team that they basically just unloaded their barrels, and in the form of their quarterback, Cade Lucky, the two rushing TDs, 4 passing TDs. He had 10 rushes for 104 yards, and he only threw 12 passes, completed 9 of them for 174. 4 of them went to the house. So a 6 TD day for your quarterback, not bad. And to follow up on the post-game show that we had when Coach Roth and you were talking, Ray, you had asked about the last time they even, I guess, were 6-1. And I was going to look back just last time they had 6 wins. And so if my math is right, the 2017-2018 season, they went 6-4. Now, at no point were they 6-1, but I could only go back to the 2000 season, so Y2K. That's the only year they've had a 6-win season outside of this. So in the last 24 years, this is the second time they've gotten to 6 wins.
Impressive. Very nice. And good homework there.
Hey, I just wanted to follow up on that as well, and I did the same thing, Matt, trying to find. It's been before 1999. We really don't have records going back before that, but definitely a big improvement for Perryville. And looking at their record since they've moved to the Quad County Conference, they've gotten better every year. What was the old I-55 conference before this year's changed to the Quad County. Perryville has this season as a Class 4 school. They have 2 wins versus Class 2 opponents, 3 wins versus Class 3 opponents, and 1 win against a Class 4 opponent. And they are the largest school in the Quad County. So I wanted to put that perspective out there because they're doing what they should do, in my opinion, as a school of their size. We're finally seeing them as a true Class 4 opponent, which begs the question for further discussion down the road. When you look at the size of the schools of the rest of the Quad County Conference, does Perryville really belong in this conference? And that's something that we could debate down the road, guys.
No, that's a story for another day. I'm going to leave it on you there. Go ahead and pick a game for me there, Jeff.
Well, I would love to, right? Let me take a look here. I've got, we talked about Northwest. I'm wearing my Lindbergh alumni. Unfortunately, I could no longer fit in my jersey, fellas, so had to wear my Lindbergh hat there to celebrate their win over Fox. However, just in looking down this list, Crystal City, Pastrana, 195 yards, touchdown, 25 carries for Crystal City. Also had an interception and 4 tackles to move Crystal City to 3-4. Thought that was a big win for them. They are second in the Class 1 District 1 standings now, looking at, going forward behind St. Vincent. St. Vincent, their win over Cuba, they're on a collision course with Marionville, probably for the state title in Class 1. I don't think, St. Vincent, a Class 1 team that was able to knock off Perryville, I just don't see anybody stopping them until they get to that state championship game. Seckman, or rather workmanlike pedestrian win over Parkway South, Matt.
I was thinking the same thing, and I had those same 2 games was Crystal City, Duchesne, the 22-7 score, and all of that was done in the first half. The third and fourth quarter, that was nothing but donuts the rest of the way. So, the pastrani sandwich, 25 for 195 on the ground, had 4 tackles as well too. And you look at a Hornets team that had 266 total on the ground. So, your quarterback goes 1 for 3 on the day, but that 1 completion goes to Evan Wolf for a TD, and so he gets a miraculous quarterback rating of 144.3. So kudos to Ice and Vice back there, slinging it and bringing it. But when you look at the Seckman game, I mean, this was just a lot of love that's spread around this team. 5 players rushed for a collective 237. Again, only 68 yards passing, and that's just really to break up the monotony of what they do on the ground game. They held a tough Parkway South team to only 220 total yards, and I say that because, again, once you get north of Jefferson County, as we saw with the Smet, I mean, it's an aerial attack for any school that comes in to play you. So to hold them to 220 total, that was quite impressive as well, too. Dylan Lappy on defense, 10 tackles. You got to highlight Quinn Mattingly, the 85-yard kickoff return. And, again, that's just something where, when you're at home and you're able to run the opening kickoff back, that just builds that momentum that you're looking to have and, helps, make sure you seal the deal. And they did with a 28-7 win.
It is now time for our honorable mention segment, and it is as follows. Our good friend, the pastrami sandwich there, Rico Pastrana from Crystal City. 25 rushes, 195 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 4 tackles on the day, and a partridge in a pear tree. From Herculaneum, Braden Mattingly, 12 rushes, 140 yards, 9 tackles on the game. Good game out of Braden there. And Cooper Frisk makes the list another week here. 14 rushes, 103 yards, 4 passes for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he got the job done down there against Grandview. Some commentary on any of these guys here, Matthew.
Well, if we're going to have co-player of the weeks, I guess that's how Cooper's able to sneak up on the list, because there was a number of fish that were going to take the bait on as to how that was going to line up this week. But when you look at what's posted out there, again, the numbers, the way they line up, all small schools represented on that. So great job by the guys down there in the smaller A classes to, get their names thrown up on the board once again. So great job up and down the list.
Jeffrey.
Yeah, you've got a Class 1, Class 2, and Class 3 team there, representatives, the Jefferson County, doing their things. Nice to see Mattingly get back up on the list. We know what we already talked about, your pastrami sandwich over at Crystal City. Cooper Frisk, he can make something out of nothing. And there was a lot of nothing for Jefferson at Grandview Friday night. And I will give him credit for that. We've seen it time and again where he can make a play. I don't want to put this kind of pressure on anybody or this kind, but he's got that Mahomes type player where he can create if you can get him out of the pocket. That situation I've seen ball snapped over his head. I've seen him grab it, been able to go for a first down. I've seen all kinds of situations like that. So he can create on the fly, and his speed and his elusiveness allows him to do that. So kudos to him for bumping up there. But like you said, Matt, that means that if Cooper makes the list this week, that means that we've got some big surprises, probably for Player of the Week, right?
Yes, and stay tuned for that. It is time for our Player of the Week, the Upon Further Review Player of the Week, and it is none other than Trevor Kodak from the Eureka Wildcats. Trevor, how you doing, my friend?
Doing great. How are you?
Awesome. Great game this week against Lafayette here. I'm looking at your stats here, 33 rushes, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a partridge in a pear tree. So tell us a little bit about the game this week and just your thoughts overall of the performance.
Yeah, well, starting in the beginning of the week, just a hard week of practice leading up to the game. I think that really helped facing Lafayette. But, the stats, it's the whole team playing, the O-line, wide receivers, everyone. It was a whole team effort. And I think the practice the week before really led to our results of the win. So,
Absolutely. Now, I know you're only a junior here. Have you been thinking about going to school somewhere?
I like to follow my friend or stay home. It'd be nice to go run behind him. So I love running behind Jack Lang. So
hey,
awesome.
And where's he going to go?
He's going to University of Missouri.
Hey, MIZ. There you go. I like it. So give us a little bit, about this season here. You guys are now 7-0, and it just seems like you just continuously win, find ways to win. Kind of a special season, I would imagine, for most of you guys, and maybe give us a little bit of the behind the scenes, how the locker room's been right now. I mean, obviously it's got to be flying high, but what keeps you guys going each week?
I think we left some stuff out on the field from last year. I personally did. I know a lot of our offense did too, and we got a lot to make up for, and I think that's really helping us push forward in these next few games. Just that thought, and just going 8-0, going 9-0 just next week.
There you go. You got McClure next week. Coach talked to you guys a little bit about the game this week.
Yes, sir. They're a good program. It's just another week to go 1-0, and just hopefully can come out on top.
Sounds like a perfect Jake Sumner answer right there. I'm just saying. So no digs on Coach there, but yeah, he's always fun to talk to. But Jake or Trevor, you are our Player of the Week. Congratulations, and keep on continuing your great season there for your junior year.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Trevor Kodak from the Eureka Wildcats. We have a second Player of the Week this week on our Upon Further Review Player of the Week. It is Cohen Stark from the Northwest Lions. Cohen, my friend, how you doing?
Doing pretty good.
Awesome, awesome. Hey, you had a pretty good day at the office last week, Friday night. You rushed for 25 times for 265 yards and a touchdown, 4 of 12 passing, a 1 touchdown, 2 punts. You're the punter. How about that? 45 yards average. You kind of doing a little bit of all of it there. So take us through the game last week with your big win over at Hazelwood's West, 35-14.
Well, we knew all week that we needed to come out fast because things we've been preaching all year is we haven't really played a full 4 quarters of like our best football because we have a lot of people playing both sides of the ball. And so that's what the coaches are preaching all week is come out fast and don't take your feet off the gas. And we knew we had to play physical because they were some big guys and we just never let off, and our energy was high all game. Even the people on the sideline, they were cheering us on every play. Even if it was a bad play, we still kept each other's heads up, and all throughout the game just kept the energy high and got the result we were looking for.
Excellent, excellent. Big 35-14 win there again over Hazelwood West. I know you're only a sophomore here, so we could be calling your name here in the next 3 years here. So, you don't get a lot of sophomores, especially in a position that you're playing that it comes up with this success. So kudos to you. But, talk about a little bit about the, almost here, you get a win this week, which will be out here at your game this week. You get a win here, you're back to 500 and, be going for a possible winning season here. That hasn't happened in a little while. So what's the locker room been like, this year? Is it a little different from years past?
Yeah, a lot of things we did this off season was really getting together and combining as a team really and getting outside, like together outside of practices. And it's really grown us like together, and our relationships are a lot stronger than they were last year. And yeah, leading this momentum going into this week is something that we're really happy to have and hope to be able to perform on Friday or Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday this week. So Parkway Central's in town. I know Coach has probably briefed you guys a little bit with the short week and whatnot, but can you give us a little bit of the game plan coming into this week?
A lot of the same as last week. Just practice hard all week and keep high energy and don't let our foot off the gas. And practice is gonna be a little different this week, having the shorter week, not really doing what we're used to doing, but overall the same game plan as it was last week.
There you go. Well, good luck to you this week and congratulations on being Player of the Week.
Thank you so much.
It's Cohen Stark from the Northwest Lions. It is now time to catch up on our Week 8 schedule. And ladies and gentlemen, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, 5 games on live stream STL this week. 5. Put it all up there, guys. 5 of them. You're not helping us here, Jeff. You got to put it. Come on, man. Put it up here.
The old $5 foot long?
$5 foot long, 5 games. 5 games. And here they are. We are going to start Thursday night. Northwest hosts Parkway Central. Our triple header Friday night. Jefferson hosts St. Genevieve. Windsor hosts Fredericktown, and Eureka hosts McClure. And then Saturday, we take the big trip down to Perryville as they're going to host Herculaneum. So the septuple header, if you want to go down that road for us, 5 games in 3 days. Other games this week, Hillsborough will be at Chaminade. Festus is at Farmington. DeSoto's at Potosi. St. Clair is at North County. Cuba is at Bayless. Fox is at Parkway North. Seckman is at Hazelwood West. Crystal City at Scotland County. Not Scotland Yard, but Scotland County. And St. Pius X is at Baylor, Tennessee, all the way down in which they are the number 1 ranked team in the state of Tennessee, I'm hearing, and the 40 something in the nation. So that should be an interesting one for St. Pius. But guys, we'll just bring it back here and talk about our septuple header here, 5 games in 3 days. And I'm excited to be jumping out to Northwest and being able to put ourselves in a situation. Not only, Northwest, we're just going to call it, they've not had the greatest of football programs for the longest time. This year seems like that they're starting to see some success in a very winnable game against a Parkway Central team that doesn't have a win this year.
Yeah, but the 5 games, I believe that should be a pentuplement, as
you are correct.
5-sided beast would be a PENT.
Sorry, I didn't use my Herky math today.
That's quite all right. 2 games I've got highlighted. Herky Perryville, and one that might fly under the radar, the DeSoto Potosi game. That DeSoto from here on out, after the punch they gave Hillsboro, they've got 2 winnable games here, and starting with Potosi, should be able to get them to their 4th win of the season and move on to set up for a 5th win in the last week of the season. I just want to see how Herky responds after the momentum that they should have after that first win. Now, granted, Perryville probably isn't the team you want to face. I mean, it could be worse, could be like facing like Valley or St. Vincent, but if they were able to hold Bayless and that outfit to a modest day, hey, but buckle up and be prepared for that Wheeler kid. And if you can stop Lucky back there in the quarterback spot, maybe stranger things can happen. You don't know, but those are the 2 games I've got highlighted.
Jeffrey.
Well, gentlemen, I'm looking at 2 games this week. I guess maybe we'll say these are bold prediction games.
Oh, right.
I am very interested to see how Jefferson will respond this week at home against St. Genevieve. St. Genevieve, a larger school, they really took it to Jefferson last season, and Jefferson had a pretty loaded lineup last year. St. Genevieve's down a little bit this year. You could say Jefferson's down a little bit as well. I think Jefferson is going to really go toe-to-toe with the Dragons at home this week. And I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to pull that one out against St. Gen. So that's probably my boldest prediction of the week. But I really think Cuba is going to go into Bayless at home. And I am predicting that Cuba will defeat Bayless at home this week and stop Marvin Jones a 2nd week in a row.
2 bold predictions out of Jeff Whitener. You're going to start calling you the Swami. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. I got it. Matthew, bold prediction.
You know what? Herky over Perryville. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, again, I want to see after that first win. If you're going into this game 0-7 and you haven't been able to taste a win. Now, granted, again, it's another one of those odd things where I talk about halftime being a thing. Your Saturday routine now is you're going to be having breakfast, getting ready to take a bus ride. And again, it's not like going from Herky to Pius where it's like 15 minutes right around the corner. Right. You're going to travel through a couple counties, get down to Perryville on a Saturday afternoon, and you're going to have to buckle up. But again, I just want to see what's the response after the win, and and go from there. That's about as bold as I think you can get, and even underline it, exclamation points, asterisks, put all of it by it. There you go.
This is the thing that surprises me here is you could be right, Matt, because of the situation of it being a Saturday. With the shortage, I'll put quotes on that, of officials. Why don't we just make this a regular thing where every single school schedules a Thursday night game, a Friday night game, which is automatically, but then a Thursday and a Saturday every season where you get one would help on the TV coverage. I'll say that. Let's just put it that way. But, the routine might throw some of these kids. You never know. And it is a different situation. To me, I've always been taught, hey, you be ready no matter what day time if it's midnight, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning,
right.
but,
You're right.
but there is that routine, there is the routine of, hey, I've got certain things that I do as a football player, mentally, spiritually, and then physically, and so it's kind of there is a catch-22 there. So I totally get that, Matt. You might be right. You never know. The Saturday,
Jeff, I'd like to piggyback off of you after your comment.
The Saturday Swami is what I would call that. But anyway.
Well, gentlemen, I'm glad you broached this subject, Ray, because we've talked about that. We've talked about why games moved to Thursday because of lack of officials. Some schools have these traditional Saturday games, like a Perryville, anyway.
Right.
And some schools simply don't have lights, so that's why they have their Saturday games. I've sort of talked to coaches about this the last 2 seasons, informal polling from the old Swami here, and coaches to a man hate Saturday games. They would much rather play on a Thursday night than on a Saturday.
Right.
It disrupts the team's schedule far worse to play on a Saturday than it does on a Thursday night,
right,
for whatever reason. And football, as you say, because they only play once a week normally, the routine is so critical. That's why you hear coaches, they grouse about when it's homecoming week and all of the activities that surround that, because it gets players out of their routine, and they never know how their team's going to come out and respond from that, because energy is directed from the players to all these other different areas. And every week now, it seems like we have some sort of theme week at a game, whether it's the senior night or homecoming or a veterans game or pink week, et cetera, et cetera. All these things can take these players out of their normal routine. So, but I just wanted to interject that. I think if anything else, we'll probably see more Thursday night games than Saturday night.
I agree with that. Games. Yeah, I agree with that tremendously.
Yeah, I think early in the year we had, and I can't remember, I don't know if it was Coach Bear, maybe, that I was asking him about the Thursday night, and really, the only bugaboo on the coach's side is that it gives them a shorter week to prep, which,
right.
Okay. But you know what? But it's not like Ray, you're the only coach on a Thursday game that's got the same situation as what Jeff would have on a Thursday. I mean, you both have a short window to work with either way. But right. From my perspective as the player, though, I'm still eating my dinner at 3:30, 4 o'clock, and I can still go through my progression for kickoff at 7.
Right.
On a Saturday, where if let's just say like a week 8 game is like this case here with Herculaneum. For the first 7 weeks, I've been playing under the lights. Right. Now, again, practice is one thing, playing is different, but it is weird though that all year you practice out in the daytime and your games are at night. So those days at practice where you're trying to field a punt in the sun, well, maybe you can get it lost in the light, something like that. But and it's literally like a day-night thing. But if your routine has been practice in the afternoon, and then games are always 7 p.m. on a Friday. Well, this 1 week, you've got to now get up at 8 in the morning on a weekend where you're normally
right.
used. Your body's looking to recover, rest, whatever from your Friday. Well, now you got to get up. You got to crank a different tracker to get up at 8, be on the bus, get down to Perryville by like noon for a kickoff at 1, and everything's just discombobulated. But if you can play like on a Thursday night where you're still doing, after school, dinner, pregame, right. and kick off at a 7 p.m. under the lights. Again, I just say that as a player. Now, whatever happens with the coaches on their preparation, as I would tell the coaches, hey, that's on you, because the 2 coaches involved and everybody on down the line, they've got the same predicament that you do. So it's not like, oh, woe's me, I've got a short week. You both do.
Right. By the way, my bold prediction: Northwest is going to win by 20 over Parkway Central.
I could see that. Yeah,
at least 20. So there you go. Putting all my love to Northwest this week. So we're excited to be out there. So that does it for Upon Further Review. Again, check out our games this week on livestreamstl.tv and on the Roku app, LivestreamSTL. Make sure you download that. For Ray Halbrook, for Matt Bates, for Jeff Whitener, all of us here at Livestream STL, thanks for being with us here on Upon Further Review.